We just simply couldn't afford the dental care treatment package that the UK was offering us. It was just too expensive. If you're interested in the savings that we made to having dental care treatment in Turkey compared to the UK, then keep watching.
Oh, what's occurring?
Dental care in the UK has declined over the years for a combination of factors. Underfunding from the NHS, the shortage of dentists, and also the impact that the COVID-19 pandemic had on the UK, where you couldn't get to see a dentist. The NHS has a 2-year rule that requires you to visit the dentist for a routine check at least once in 2 years. When you go into your dentist, if you're under the NHS, they have to, by law, have in reception a simple price list for all the work that they can do on the NHS. Same as a private price list, but there's no limit on what they can charge. Free treatment on the NHS comes if you're on any sort of benefits. If you're pregnant and due to have a baby, or have had a baby in the last 12 months. Also, if you're in full-time education and you're between 18 and 19 younger. Now, over 60s, which is not going to be long for me and David, quicker for David. But if you're over 60, you still have to pay for your dental treatment. If you're on a low-income scheme, but you can't be guaranteed that your treatment will be paid. It all depends on circumstances, what you earn or what your income is, and it may go towards the payment of some of your payments for NHS. What you want to know is how we made these savings. Well, first of all, David and I did some research in the UK because we had no intention of going to Turkey. Always thought that the UK was best to do our teeth, and we made some inquiries of what we needed doing. So although David and I are both with NHS dentists, we still have to pay for our dentist treatment because we're both still working. So let's have a look at what David needed. When he went to a private clinic, he needed 7 teeth extracted in his bottom jaw. He needed 12 teeth extracted up on his upper jaw. He needed 2 bone grafts and 2 sinus lifts. Then he would have to have temporary teeth fitted or dentures because we didn't know exactly what they were going to do until they'd done all the initial work for a few months until his gums healed, and then he would have his finals done. Now, after having 2 prices, because the first one was such a shock, we had one for £34,000 and the other one was for £48,000. An astonishing £48,000 for just his treatment. I mean, it was just... How many holidays could you have for that? I was going to say how many bottles of wine, but I don't drink anymore. Depended on who we would go with, where in the country, that was the price range. The average price of that, we worked that out as 41,000 between the 34 and the 48. So 41,000 for David to have all his work done in the UK. Now, when it came to my treatment, I'd paid 4,000 or just over 4,000 in 2020, just before the pandemic, to have a fixed brace for aligning my teeth. I had a big gap between my front teeth and I didn't like it. As I was getting older, it was getting worse. I really wanted to have that closed, which I did in the pandemic. I went privately, cost me just over 4,000, and I've got to say they did an excellent job. And if you look back in our previous videos of the process that we did in Turkey, that was one of the first things that they said. My bite was superb. And they didn't need to do any alteration with that at all. And lucky for me, when I had my teeth and my fixed brace, it was during pandemic, so we didn't see a lot of people anyway. There was no going out and socialising, although I did have it in for 18 months. We did wear masks for a lot of the time, so nobody see my teeth anyway. Now, some people have said in the previous videos that my teeth were lovely in the first place. And those people who commented and said that, thank you so much. Yes, they were good. However, my back teeth, there was 8 back teeth on the bottom jaw, which either had a crown and the colour was not right, or had a silver filling and they were big and clumsy, and they were, when I smiled, and I've got such a big mouth, I was conscious of the fillings and the colouring of them as well. I thought I'd ask them for the most expensive price to have my teeth done, and they said that they would do them privately again, because they said on the NHS they weren't desperate to be done, although I thought that they looked awful. Went to 2 private clinics. Big difference again, between 11,000 to have all my teeth, all crowns, top and bottom, between 11,000 and 18,000. So my teeth work would have cost me 14,500 quid. So in total, for David, all David's work, all my work, it would come to £55,000. £55,000 for dental work. Please note, they wouldn't do it on the NHS. David would either have to have dentures, and just be aware that this had to be done privately. It was not through the NHS. In the UK, £55,000. £55,000, oh my God. Back in the day, 20 years ago, you could borrow a house or a flat for that. I mean, amazing. I know it's a bit of a stupid comparison, but no, but yeah, £55,000. Could have bought a new van for that. New motorhome. Realistically, David and I we couldn't justify that. After we'd done all the research in the UK, we started to look elsewhere. We looked in other countries that were had good write-ups about doing dentistry work in Thailand, India, Mexico. But basically we thought that was, before we went down that road of inquiring prices with these different countries, we'd heard a lot about Turkey, and friends of ours had actually gone to Turkey last year and had their teeth done out there. So I thought, let's stick with Turkey, because Turkey is only 4.5 hours flight from the UK. Much easier to access, and if we did have to go back out there, because we knew that with the work David needed doing, he would have to make 2 trips out there, we thought that Turkey was a better place to go. Now, there are many, many clinics in Turkey, dental clinics. Too long to name them all, but if you're in the UK and you're thinking, oh, I've seen an advert and they're doing a clinic assessment in Swansea, you can go along to them, they can give you a price, and you'll go out to Turkey then and have the work done. Now, there was that option that we nearly did go to, but I can't remember what happened with the appointment. We didn't go. The other option was to go with these bigger firms, and I got to be honest, some of them were really cheap. They paid for everything. They paid for your flights. They didn't matter what time of the year it was. They were really low. However, when we got out there, we heard a couple of horror stories saying that they felt as though they were on a conveyor belt, and when they actually got out there for the consultation, all of a sudden, in some cases, it was 50% more expensive. Also, I got put off by some of the companies that I was talking to, I was communicating with, and they were really pushy. They were saying, when would you like us to book your flight? One even asked us for a deposit. Now, if you've come this far in the video and you've not seen our previous other 3 videos, one is on the hotel clicking all-inclusive, one is on our all-week process, and the other one was the research that we did into the companies. Have a look back. It's on our YouTube page, and it will be in the description below, the links to the videos. After assessing a couple of these clinics in Turkey and not having a right feel for it, we came across Moon Smile. Now, Moon Smile, what I liked about Moon Smile was that they weren't pushy. Every question I asked them, whether it to be with the hotel, what implants they used, what were the crowns made of, the warranties, everything, they give me a full explanation. written down on text. I felt confident with them. And as I said, they weren't pushy at all. They weren't pushing me to book my flight out there. And I've got to be honest, after coming back from Turkey and having our work done out there, we are so glad that we went with Moon Smile. Because as I said before, there are so many other different companies out there, and there were people that in a right pickle because they'd been quoted so much for their treatment. When they'd gone out there, then they were priced up a lot more. I not mean a couple of hundred, I mean thousands more. In one case, it was 50% more. And they were devastated because they didn't have the money. But they had the work out there, and then they were pushing them to say, well, pay half now and pay out the other half when you come back. Which, if you're having all your teeth extracted and you've got implants going in, it's a bit worrying. When we went to the UK private clinics and we had our prices, which, if you can remember back to the beginning of the video, it was an average price of $55,000 for both our treatments. We went with the same treatment package to Moon Smile. So they came back with a price which was nowhere near. So Moon Smile, as I said, they weren't the cheapest, but they certainly weren't the most expensive. But they were a huge price difference to the UK. And we felt comfortable going with them. They came back with all David's work and all my work. It was a few £100 short of, but that was everything. Now, taking into account that we needed flights for the both of us on the way out because that wasn't in the package, we paid an extra £350 for the all-inclusive for the week. We also had fuel going up there, up to the airport, parking, travel insurance. We priced it for 2 trips for the both of us out to Turkey, although I was down on the first trip. David needs me to hold his hand for the second trip. We priced it as a maximum of £13,000. That's 2 weeks in Turkey, all inclusive, flights included, everything. And of course the dental work. The full package, £13,000. That is why I said in this thumbnail that we saved over £40,000 for the 2 of us to have all our teeth done, what we wanted, by going to Turkey. Think of what you can buy for £40,000. Well, in fact, it's £42,000, isn't it? You know, don't want to shout about it, but £42,000. Now, I know it's scary, and it was scary, but we trusted the process. We're so glad we went with Moon Smile. And Moon Smile know that we're doing our own video because we've got YouTube, and they were ever so kind. We said that we were going to do a video on our experience, and we asked them if we could have a discount code for you viewers. So the discount code will just be coming along the screen here. It will also be in the description. If you can't contact Asina at Moon Smile, tell them that you've seen our videos and that you would like to have a quote. You also have a discount code. You will receive £50 off your treatment. Now, we didn't have free flights with Moon Smile. As I said, they weren't the cheapest, but we are really happy that we went with them. The service was just second to none, and we heard some right horror stories when we were out there. So we are very happy. If you've been to Moon Smile before, please let us know in the comments and let us know what you thought. The next video won't be now for the dental teeth, for turkey teeth, until about October, November, because I think that's the time of the year that we're going to go back. It'll be still warm. It'll be warmer than when we went out there this year in February, but it'll be still warm. It'll be a lot hotter. And I can have a bit of a holiday this time because I don't have to go back and see the dentist. It'll be only David having his finals. I really hope you've liked our dental teeth treatment videos. There's 4 in total now. 5th one will be out later on this year when David goes back for his finals. Please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe, it is free, and we'll see you in the next one.
Oh, what's occurring?